starting the second one. Okay, so welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for your flexibility. On our previous episode, we discussed sentiment across the industry on the publisher side, on the sell side particularly. We've shared some overall medium to higher or hotter anxiety sentiment on the publisher side because most of their revenue did come from cookie targeting. Again, keep me honest on this, okay? So now I would like to shift this episode or this interview towards what's new? What can you tell us that's going to be exciting, that's going to give us hope? And again, because of my experience being 100% buy side, please educate us, keep us honest. So what can you tell us about, first, do you have anything to add on to our conversation previously that we may have missed? And if so, what? And if not, let's move on to the new fun stuff.
Yeah, well, I think what's exciting are a number of different solutions, which our firm is under NDA with nearly a dozen companies. Which
Nice.
there's a lot of other solutions out there, but
Mm-hmm.
we've spent a lot of time really understanding who's also working with our buy side partners, to be able to
Yeah.
sort of create solutions that work and that they work at scale or they work even on a smaller scale. So we're happy to share that there are a number of different solutions out there. Some of them are contextual.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are tied to emails. Some are tied to performance, as Justin mentioned before, and we're also working closely with Google and other folks that have really important roles in the ecosystem. And I think that's really important. The understanding that there are a lot of roles that are important in the ecosystem. We certainly feel like we serve one of the most important roles there, and that's as a company that's helping a lot of publishers to figure this stuff out. So that's I think really promising is that there are a number of solutions. What really gains traction is certainly undiscovered yet. We're testing a number of things, but at the same time, there are some unknowns, as Justin pointed out
Yeah.
before.
Right.
So
Right.
we're also still sort of waiting on new news, but in the meantime, actually working through testing, which is critical to be able to figure these things out. I think one thing that's sort of lost here too, when as a publisher,
Mm-hmm.
you may have a fantastic set of sort of raw ingredients to use, right? That a buyer like yourself may want to tap into, or that will make sense for them to go to market with. But I think there's also a complex process that a lot of it is technical. So even if you wanted to say, I want to activate a lot of the things that I have, there are sometimes some tech sort of setbacks that you may have. It could be limitations and skills, that are tied to more tech skills, and the same is true with a lot of our buy side partners and agencies and brands. So that's where we're again working towards the middle on all of those things.
Got it. Okay, so you mentioned quite a few things here. So in terms of, I know you said that you're working on a few things and you're testing a few things, but I love
Mhm.
examples.
Yeah,
Again, if this is something you cannot share, I totally understand. Just let me know. But
sure.
how are you? Hold on, let me think about the question here. End of day type of brain. What to a publisher out there, right? I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. What would be a benefit to, and maybe that's not a real question. What would be a benefit to working with somebody like Media TradeCraft right now, especially during this moment? I think it makes a lot of sense to partner at this time.
Mhm.
But what is the things that you can share with us that's gonna help somebody out there?
Sure. I think a big part of that is, are you working with folks who've been through big change before? You know,
Mm,
like we've been fortunate to really bring a very particular skill set
Hmm.
that is also agile and is really never stopped working, and so if you think about it, do you have the experience that's capable of bringing you through big change? And our teams have been through, the earliest days of header bidding, wrappers, the
Oh,
earliest
wow.
days of
Okay.
pre-bid, private deals, demand path optimization, working with custom reporting tools, and even working now on cookieless solutions and Safari and iOS products. So do you have the ability to work through some of those things? And I think there's companies that are newer in the space that have none of that experience. But I think also, and I'll let Justin touch on this a little bit, but are you as a site prepared to make more money? And I think that's a different question that nobody really asks. Are you prepared to make more money? And a lot of that is tied to performance and site and a lot of other things that are coming down the pike. I'll turn it over to Justin.
Yeah, I think through big times like this, it's really important to have a team that really understands what you're doing, what you're good at, and then most importantly, what you're weak at, right? So I think, what we're doing is by being so close with our publishers, we're really able to identify areas to like really help them. And then also, because we have such a great partnership, accelerate areas of weakness, bringing in more experts, more people who have been through big change, extra dev resources, ops resources, things like that is just going to be a benefit because the average publisher has so much to do every day anyways. At the forefront of that is content. It's like, how can they even spend time on some of these like, third finding first party audiences, getting
Yeah.
emails, like how do they have time to do that when they're really trying to cover, oh my gosh, breaking story, or I got to make sure I get this out there so I'm first on search and think,
Yeah.
that's really where they need to focus. And they're great at that. That's what they're the best at. And now, it's how can they also do that and maybe take a pause and then end up, figuring out the other side of the fence.
That's really cool. I think that's major. So I would assume that, so talk to us about, highlight whatever you want, but talk to us about like the importance of the community then. I know you mentioned the community and ecosystem a few times. So
Yeah,
how important is that,
absolutely.
specifically like ecosystem relationship?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's something that we've been fortunate as operators to
Hmm.
turn back to over and over again. Um, there's a lot of hard work to do out there, but it sure is a lot easier when you can turn to other publishers, other companies that are tackling some of those same challenges, and take a collective knowledge base and be able to work through certain things. So I know that Justin and I are experiencing new levels of collaboration with other companies
Right.
that really realize that you need to set aside sort of competitive differences, right? And realize that if you really truly want to help publishers succeed, you're going to do everything that you can to do the best by them, right? And so that means that working together and collaborating a lot more than ever is what we're experiencing. So, and that's true of other companies that may provide, publisher services, and that's also true of a lot of the connected technology companies that we've served on advisory councils for the past 5-6 years. You
Yeah.
have a tremendous sort of ad tech ecosystem that it's already a network of highways, right? It's
Yeah.
already a network that's been built, right? You can't deconstruct all of that and then not use all of it, right? So what
Yeah.
we're finding is increased collaboration there, and then also from our buy side partners and even agencies and brands that are managing a lot of things on their own. They're saying, Media TradeCraft, Justin, Erik, and your teams, please come talk with us so that we can figure out how to make this as seamless as possible, and also keep innovating, right? And so that's one of the great things, is that well, in doing this, we you can be experts, and you can do a lot of advanced level work, right? But there tends to be no mastery of this, right? And there's this continued evolution of doing that, and so that means more collaboration than ever, and that takes years to build. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, you don't You don't just roll up on the scene and all of a sudden you can start solving problems when you've never worked through problems, right?
You don't?
It's
No.
amazing, right?
You
But
mean you can't Google it? Like you can't do that? Oh,
everybody's inboxes would tell you something else,
oh my
right?
gosh, the bars you're dropping today. What? I had
so
no idea.
so that's where turning to folks that we've done things with before,
Yeah.
like building private deals, or building deal IDs, or moving to first price, and all these things. You have a lot of operators that have true skills and have worked through things, and that's where community and ecosystem really sort of come into play.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear the kid in the background. I was hoping she would
All
get
good.
quiet.
We know you
Okay.
can edit it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
edit it.
I had to hire help. Like I was like, no, I can't do it all. Like I need to delegate some help, and she has been so amazing. But okay,
Let us
so
know too if you want to wrap soon too. That's cool. I
yep,
think
yep.
we got a lot of content there. Yeah.
So all right. So here's a couple points I'd like to highlight, because I think some of the conversation we just had is super important. And I know I'm not having enough of that conversation. So partnering with experts in your field, such as yourselves, such
Yeah.
as Media TradeCraft. Not only that, but also collaboration. I think that's something we don't get. I think that's a word that's thrown a lot in our industry, but is not particularly respected. And I'm all about sharing knowledge, and I'm all about sharing just sharing in general. So I think collaboration here is key. So I guess this is a great segue into my last question here. So I'm pretty optimistic and excited about, I think I mentioned that earlier, but the Unified ID 2.0. The Trade Desk is very proud in announcing this open internet, open web solution with this approach on identity. So is that something you are just as excited as me? If so, yes, why? And if no, yeah, why not?
Yeah. So we love our partners over there.
Mm-hmm.
They do tremendous work. They always have, and our ties are strong there. We celebrate all that they do, and we love our working relationship with the Trade Desk, and also we're all about supporting the open web and any solution set that will match a particular need
Mm-hmm.
for a publisher. So we absolutely celebrate that, because we see that as a tool, right?
Yeah.
It is which knife is it in the butcher block, right? And having the right sort of tools, your paring knife is not your cleaver, right? It's
Yeah.
not your serrated knife, right? And so any of those tools that help, we absolutely celebrate all of those. We will be turning to a lot of our technology partners to build a lot of those things that we will then utilize.
Mm-hmm.
That is, again, nothing new. It is an area that I think a lot of publishers are fortunate they have the ability to tap into those. A lot of buyers are fortunate they have the ability to tap into those, and that's where we're spending a lot of time with folks there, and a lot of other places to really help to drive on product innovation. So
Got it. So this is going to make things either easier for you and your clients, or at least complement the effort you're already doing.
absolutely, absolutely, Justin.
Yeah, I think they're definitely one of, the solutions that we're looking at. And again, like when we went back to some of the specifics about like driving email, driving logins and stuff like that, it's going to be extremely important with them as well. So
Yeah.
so there's some great solutions out there, and it's really, figuring out that initial testing phase, and then connecting the buy side, and then, really testing the solutions out and getting more progress. So they're definitely part of that, as well as many others.
That's great. I mean, like I said, I'm very optimistic about the Trade Desk, but also I'm very biased with the Trade Desk. I tend to follow them very closely, but this is great. I mean, thank you so much for joining us. We'll go ahead and move into the closing segments, where I like to ask a couple fun questions before we close.
Sure.
Um, before we close. So, all right. So we've been working from home for a while now. Some of us have before. What are 3 things that you can each share with us that help us, that would just help you stay in your zen? Like when I do those 3 things every day, I feel like my person as a whole has been like taken care of.
Yeah. So, Justin, you want me to start? You want to start?
You can start. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, no. So, well, Sensei, I think for me, I really thrive being around other people,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
so,
same.
one thing that we've done to be able to sort of help that feeling for myself personally, and then also for the rest of our team, is we actually spend a lot of time on Zoom together. A lot of companies say, hey, check in on these
Yeah.
hours and we'll just do this kind of meeting, and instead we have like an all in all the time sort of approach, which is somewhat unique. And I know that it's gotten us through some of the hardest days, and it's helped us to celebrate some of those moments, to sort of be able to see each other, to smile, to laugh, to get frustrated. All of those things happen during the day, right? And being able to actually still go through those things feels a little bit normal, and that helps me stay a little bit zen. And so but also respecting the privacy that sometimes if somebody needs to turn off their camera, or step away for a while. But I will say that as someone who really thrives on being around other people, that's been helpful. And also checking in with a lot of people that we would see a lot of times throughout the
Yeah.
country, if we were in New York or at a summit in Vail or in Santa Monica, you name it. I think Justin and I have really worked very hard to stay in touch with so many people that have meant so much to us throughout the year. Some of them are working relationships, but then they turn personal, and it's important to stay connected as a human, and that's
Right.
my perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think working from home and then obviously living at home is a unique thing, but I think it's always good to think about, like, if you're from New York, we're outside DC. You,
Yeah.
you know what, I do not miss the honking horns of a car in front of me. I don't miss, an hour and 15-minute commute. I don't
Commute. Yeah.
miss, you know, having an event that I'm supposed to
Easy.
be at 6 o'clock and I didn't
Right.
get there because there was an accident, or, just like things that like are totally out of your control. And now that's
Yeah.
all happening online and you don't have to worry about a lot of those stresses, right? So one of the things I think that's important is just being reflectful on the fact that, you're now able to have a lot more time and then use that time for things that you enjoy. Maybe you like to work out,
Yeah.
watch TV, go
Yeah.
for a walk,
Flexibility.
play with your dog, things like that. And that's all possible now. Whereas before, there might have been 2 or 3 hours of your day that was gone and now it's back.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Oh,
What
for
are you going
sure.
to do back with that time, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely flexibility is definitely a plus being at home a little bit more. But then again, I caught myself just staying at home and not stepping outside. So now I'm like, I need to go 5 minutes in front of the door at least.
Right.
Can get lost in front of the computer. So and then 6 hours later, you're like, yo, I don't think this is healthy. I need to feed my soul at least.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know that we forgot to mention something important, Erik, is that you also have a podcast called The Minority Report.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about community, and we talked about sort of the ecosystem, and a passion project that
Hmm.
has become so much more. I'm so grateful for our podcast that really is highlighting and celebrating so much of the industry, who we are as humans, who we are as people, which also
Yeah.
directly tied to our company and Media TradeCraft, and having a tremendous co-founder in Justin, and our teams that uh, look like every other sort of person. Diversity is at the heart of our company because it started that way, right? It's intentional.
Mhm.
So it was important for us to have females in roles of leadership. It's
Yeah.
important for us to have people that look different. It just I'm so proud that I have a co-founder who feels the same way, has been an ally, a supporter, and this is even prior to starting Media TradeCraft. Justin has been the #1 supporter, along with my other co-host, who's Ryan McConaughey from The Atlantic, for our other podcast, which
Yeah.
is What Happens in Ad Tech, where we sort
Okay.
of talk about industry issues. We bring a lot of smart folks to the podcast to let them help inform the audience just about what's happening. And then we
Yeah.
also have a really important podcast, and Minority Report podcast, especially today, especially over the past couple of years. And it's been amazing. Over the past 2 years, we have assembled the largest catalog of people who come from diverse backgrounds that you can find on the web today. I'm extremely proud of that. Imagine if you took 2 years of your life to dedicate to helping to amplify other people's voices. I'm so proud of Carell, my co-host and
Yeah.
co-founder of that, and also the great guests who have the courage to come tell their stories. We talk about difficult subjects sometimes, but we also talk about how to create a resource for folks who didn't have anything to sort of turn to, audio, video, or anything, that say, hey, you know what? I can make it in this industry. And it started in ad tech, and it started in media and publishing, but we branched out into financial,
Yeah.
education. We've had musical composers, and we've had billionaire tech startup folks. I mean, it's tremendous, and we're so thankful for great folks like Digiday and a number of other folks that help to continue to amplify. That Ad Monsters has been huge with sort of helping to develop an
Yeah.
amplification of that voice. And so, yeah, when we're not doing all of this, we're trying to build community and really champion all the right things that should be championed.
I think that's amazing. I mean, I definitely am a big fan of podcasting. I'll check out both of the podcasts. Again, it's Minority Report
Thanks.
and it's What Happened in Ad Tech. So
Yep.
thank you so much again to both of you to making the time. I know you guys are hella busy, but for the right reason. And I hope you continue having a wonderful day, and a happy Q2 is tomorrow. We start Q2 tomorrow. So
There we go.
Crazy, right?
Oh, there it is. Thanks, Alen. Have a good one.